We all have our own set of bad history with certain individuals, and often they translate into crucial and pivotal turning points within our lives, and also eventually a significant development to both our character and personality. When defeats, failures, tragedies, and traumas happen to us, the rush of emotions from those painful experiences raise endless amounts of unanswered questions desperately needed answering, for us to make sensible judgments upon and come into a solid and meaningful conclusion with regards to the origins, nexuses, and the outcome of those painful circumstances. We are evolutionary wired to prioritize our negative experiences within our memories as a set of survival instinct. We always learn far more from failures and negative experiences than from successes and joyful experiences, as they are transmuted from pain into a readily and repeatedly available physical and mental armory in order to prevent such experiences from ever happening again. Like when we touch a hot pan as a kid and we instantly sway our hand away from it because of the painful sensation, it is then instinctually wired within us as we grow up to stay away from touching a hot pan again, or to be careful when there is a hot pan in front of us. It is the same thing we went through with regards to our bad experiences with people, only a lot more complex in terms of the process, because emotional pain is a lot harder to make sense of than physical pain. Our own bad judgments of people often put us in a vulnerable, compromising, and traumatic experience. That carelessness resounds with our own sense of disappointment and irresponsibility in both the dark side of human nature and our own ignorant mindlessness about them, that we often can't help but to go far and deep down the rabbit hole to try and make further sense of our circumstances in order for us to develop a negative reinforcement within our lack of social intelligence. That process of understanding human nature, especially the dark side of it, will initially spark the incentives for revenge and resentment within us, as by default it is hard for human beings to forgive. As naturally, we want to eliminate any threats that can cause further harm to us, especially when the threat is perceptually non-lethal. As time passes, our source of anger does not come from an individual's negative actions towards us, but more towards our initial lack of understanding of people that eventually got us into those situations. As social creatures, we thrive under social circumstances within which we share similar values and purpose. Our feelings and sensations of authenticity are further amplified when we conform to these people, as we are intrinsically rewarded through acknowledgement, respect, and validation. There are only very few things that are more emotionally painful to a human being than to be implied and remarked of their own irritability, worthlessness, and insignificance in another person's life, especially when they have invested a lot into that person. When we are wronged, unappreciated, discarded, and pulverized within a social circumstance, being it amongst our colleagues, friends, or even lovers, we tend to further self-deprecate ourselves of our own deficiencies and inadequacies, and while there is a lot of painful truths to that, the reality is no matter how adequate and capable you can be, you will always encounter social discrepancies one way or another. You will always have enemies. Negative experiences and outcomes with people are inevitable in life. Clashes and conflicts of priorities, values, cultures, beliefs, and ego investments, manipulations and deceptions to attain wealth, status, and prosperity, personal envy and jealousy to inspire hate and tarnish reputations, physical and emotional abuse or bullying to attain personal superiority and patch emotional scars. We are evolutionary bound to be exposed and involved within this complexity and brutality of the social dominance hierarchy. This is not a new thing for us. In fact, this is how tribes have functioned many years ago. And that evolutionary tendencies for structure, growth, and command are still ever so present in today's social interactions. The struggle for power, influence, and control will always be imminent within almost every social circumstance, no matter how small. And for us unprepared individuals, we often get caught and injured in the crossfire and eventually left for dead or left to tend to our own wounds alone. Especially for the majority of us that are always taught and conditioned from an early age by the naive narrative that people are always wonderful and capable of love, without ever mentioning that they are also selfish and capable of violence. But with all that said, whether you want to label the people that you have bad experiences with as quote-unquote bad people is all up to you, gentlemen. I personally would not, because we are also capable of wrongdoings ourselves. And we may not notice that we have wronged someone because of their apparent insignificance within our lives and priorities. As you try to further understand your bad and painful experiences with people, do not turn your initial resentment of them into pure hatred and eventual violence. Slowly try to see, understand, and accept them for what they are and the circumstances surrounding them that lead to their actions. All the while, you sublimate your emotions through building your own swords and shields around yourself through maximizing your potential and filling the gaps in your own deficiencies and shortcomings, especially in your social intelligence, so that you can be much more aware of people with unwanted intentions and prevent them from committing any further wrongdoings to you through confidently asserting your boundaries. Regardless of whether we want to admit it or not, we all have that intuitive awareness of our own set of shortcomings that can prompt an individual to prey upon and take advantage of us. And the realization of that extent happens when we are eventually wronged and mistreated. That is why either we end up further self-deprecating ourselves for our apparent worthlessness, or we try our best to better ourselves in order to make ourselves worthy of respectability. And for us constructive individuals, that is why we go to the gym and went on new adventures when our lover left us. That is why we try our best to be more skillful and knowledgeable when a colleague replaced us in our profession. As much as we want to condemn them for their actions, there is no denying that our encounters and experiences with these individuals represent a major transformative phase within our lives. And the best thing you can do is to take full advantage of it instead of ignorantly resenting the after effects and eventually self-sabotaging yourself. Feeling sorry for yourselves and seeking sympathy from others because of your own social mishaps won't do anything good for you. Putting tremendous efforts in being better is the only way. Thank you for watching.